This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, friends, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the Southern Command Post of the X-Zone Broadcast Network here in Vero Beach and Fellsmere, Florida. I want to take a moment to invite everybody to go to www.xzbn.net for a schedule of all the great shows on the network, which we all know is the mothership of paranormal programming. It's great to be back, folks. I look forward to this time every week to sit down with all of you and just discuss the paranormal. And tonight is going to be one of those great shows where it's a paranormal investigator talking to paranormal investigator, just going over the things that we all have our passion about. And tonight, Mr. Bob Cenkner is our guest. Bob has been investigating the paranormal for over 20 years. During the day, Bob works with special needs adults and children. At night, he searches for the answers to questions many of us ask: is there life after death? And can we speak to those who have passed on? Inspired by the loss of his daughter to heart disease, Bob began his paranormal investigation career by searching for this evidence. As a former member of the Florida Ghost Team, where he served as the historical locations manager, Bob went on to become the founder of Paranormal Wavelength, an investigative team that supported a radio show of the same name. Bob's goal in the paranormal field is to look for answers, collect the evidence, and to help those in need. Bob Cenkner, welcome to Paranormal Stakeout, my friend.
Hey, how are you doing tonight, Larry?
Doing good. We've conducted some investigations together. We've spent some time together, but I'd like the audience to kind of get to know you a little bit. Tell us how you got into this field.
Well, I won't be. Some people try and say they've been investigating since they were like 7 years old. I won't go that far back, but I was always interested in the unknown when I was a kid. Always watching the Star Wars movie. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. And they had a Sunday Monster Hour. So I was always interested in weird, unknown stuff when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And then as you were saying in my bio, about 22 years ago, my daughter, she passed away of heart disease. Her name was Morgan. And after she passed, a couple years after she had, sorry, I keep saying passed, but passed away, I started questioning just different things, what we believed in and if we could communicate with other sides. So I started researching and started doing investigating on my own. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What did you look for any training? 22 years ago, a lot of this was still in its infancy. Did you get any training? Did you end up having to train yourself? Did you have a mentor?
No, honestly, it was just trial and error, going to the library, just looking up different books. I'm not the biggest reader. I admit that. But when it's something that really interests me, because I'm looking for answers. I'm still looking for answers. 22 years have passed, but I mean, it was one of those things that I wanted to know why she had to be taken, or if I could even talk to her, because I see back then, they didn't have as many paranormal shows as they do nowadays. But there was guys out there like psychic mediums and all that. And I just wondered if they really were talking with the other side, or it was just like a scam or gimmick. Mm-hmm. And I was actually very alone, just doing stuff on my own. And then I realized there was teams in Florida. And that's how I got hooked up with Florida Ghost Team. And back then, that was like, I got with them I think it was 2008, 2007 maybe. Mm-hmm. And they're not around anymore, the team name, but a lot of people that have come from that team in Florida.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them here.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Porter of Ghost Stop, Scotty Burns of War Party Paranormal, Rich Valdez. There's a whole bunch of people. It's funny how everyone branched out from that team, but I actually like working with people more than just doing it on my own. Because I like to, I've talked to you about this before. I'm a big sharer. If I have evidence, I'll send it out to other people to get their opinion on it. And I wish more people would do that instead of keeping it just in-house, because sometimes you get different ears or eyes on evidence. You get a different view, or perception.
Yeah, and we're gonna chat about that a little bit later in the show, specifically sharing and evidence and that type of thing. Did you find it difficult to reach out to folks, especially back in the day? I know it's not so much that way now, but 20 some odd years ago, did you find it difficult reaching out to folks to find out if this was an interest of theirs or if you could be part of them? Did you find it hard at all?
I didn't reach out to many people for teams. I didn't know there was teams around. I didn't know people were doing this stuff. I thought, sometimes you just think that you're the cutting edge, you're the guy doing it, and then you realize there's a whole field out there of people,
Sure.
So it's just.
Oh. Okay, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes there. See you on the other side.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm Larry Lawson, your host, and tonight we have Bob Cenkner on the show. And Bob, we got a little bit of a taste of your background, how you got through learning about the paranormal, like we all did in the early days. Got to ask you a question, and I seem to get a different answer more times than not. What do you think a ghost is? What is your opinion on these spirits that we seek?
I think it, like you said, spirit. I think it's our spirit after it's left our body, our shell. That's why I try telling people I'm not a provoker. I don't go to locations to provoke spirits, because I tell people, they once were us in our human shell, and now it's our spirit form on the other side, still communicating with us. And I go, you should respect them, because you wouldn't go up on someone on the street and start screaming at them, because they'll punch you in the mouth. Well, spirits, I've known people that have gotten bad karma and different things happen to them because they're just I don't know. I feel the spirit is us still. It's the same person, but in a spiritual form.
Okay. Are you talking about spirit being energy? Are you talking about it being a continuation? What's your thought there?
That's a good question. I believe heavily in the energy, because I think before, like me and you ourselves have energy flowing around us right now that we put into different ideas to help people. But yeah, I think a spirit is energy and still partly us, our personality. That's why I tell people sometimes when they're all scared, they have something, they say, oh, it's something demonic or something evil in our house. It could just be a regular spirit. They could have been a jerk on this side. Just because they went to the other side didn't mean they came the holy angel, So I think we still carry some of our personality traits over to the other side still.
Well, how does that translate into what we oftentimes refer to as a residual haunt, almost like that video that keeps replaying? How does that translate into these spirits communicating with us?
Well, the way I look at a residual, it's more they're not actually interacting with us. They're more it's almost like we're just coming in on a movie or like a TV show has been playing over and over. And sometimes you can get different EVPs or experiences. It all depends at what part of the residual you're hitting, what time, it hits. Where when I've gotten some EVPs from a spirit that's actually there, an intelligent ghost spirit is actually responding to your questions. So the residual, I don't think they actually have any interaction with us. It's just more like watching, like I said, a movie or a TV show.
Well, and there's a lot of folks that have said, too, the residual is nothing more than the energy absorbed by, it could be wood or certain types of stones such as granite, that type of thing, quartz. And that's always been kind of a question of mine, Bob, is how can there be two different kinds? And I think that goes back to my personal belief is nobody really knows for sure what it is that we're dealing with. But I've always had that quandary that how can you get one ghost that will react to you, but the next time it won't? So that's why I was wanting to get your opinion in there. Why do you think these spirits stay? Why do you think they're even here for us to contact?
Sometimes it could be a tragic event happen there, and they're trapped. Mm-hmm. And that's why sometimes when you're in locations, you might get an EVP of spirit asking help, and then sometimes you just have spirits being fun playing with you because I don't know, maybe they had a personal like a good moment in their lifetime and they just want to come back and revisit it. That location, or maybe there's still someone there. Like if you're doing a residential, maybe there's a family member there, and like it's your grandfather visiting, or an aunt or uncle, or even like my daughter, revisiting. I could be somewhere and she could just be by my side at a location. I have a friend, Scotty Rourke, up in Wisconsin. He's a medium, and he tells people sometimes, they're asking him for a message, what's here? And he starts naming something off, and the one person in his group was like, I think you're talking about my grandfather. He's like, I think I am. He's here next to you. He wanted to be by your side. So sometimes it's the person or the location that the spirit connects with.
Do you think, in your opinion and your experience, spirits can pretty much travel wherever they want, or are they stuck to a place?
Like I said, it depends. Like I call spirits, my ex-wife in the early days, we used to go to the cemetery all the time to visit our daughter's grave. And we started having some problems at our house with spirits, with my ex-wife having problems. And I called them hitchhikers. When we were at the cemetery, she was very open. Like she wasn't protecting herself. Her energy was, because she was fixing the different kids' gravestones and everything. It was very open, like a motherly. Mm-hmm. So if some spirits were attaching to her and coming back to our house, we had to have our house cleansed by a couple friends of ours, because it wasn't that they were evil or anything. They were just very aggressive, wanting to get noticed by her, and sometimes that could be frightening to people.
So these are just spirits that it's not so much that they could just travel where they want, but they attach themselves to you and traveled with you. Is that how you believe they can get from one place to another, or is that just one method?
It's my opinion. I think it's one theory that is not I didn't come up with the theory. I've heard about it. I came up with the name hitchhikers because I think about that ride, the Haunted Mansion at Disney, the three ghosts at the end thumbing for a ride. Right.
Well, Bob, that's the one thing about this entire field. I get really worried when I hear somebody say that they know the exact answer. They know exactly what's going on. Because I've met many people that I have a lot of respect for, psychic mediums being some of them. Nobody has that full same story. Nobody has it exactly the same way, which immediately tells me is it's still all theory. And I think you used that word yourself.
Yep.
And folks tend to forget that, and they get themselves focused into, well, it's got to be this or it's got to be that. And the truth of the matter is we don't know, and that's why we're all still searching. Wouldn't you agree?
I very much agree. That's why I try telling people, keep an open mind and listen to other people in the paranormal field. I don't care, like Jonathan that's on your team. I listen to stuff he has to say, even though he's brand new to the field. It doesn't matter whether you've been in it for a while or if you're just starting. Everybody has different views, different opinions, different theories, And that's what the paranormal field is. The only thing I have is I can help Jonathan with a lot of things I screwed up over the years that I learned from.
Yeah, sharing that experience. I hear that.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I tell people is, even though I've been doing it for a while, or even like Rich Valdez has been doing it for a long time, we both tell people, hey, we're still learning. Scotty Burns is the same way. She still always says, she's been doing it way longer than me. And she always says she's always learning. That's the best thing you can hear a paranormal investigator saying, that they're still trying to learn stuff.
Well, I'll go a step further, too. If you hear paranormal investigators say that, then you know that they're legitimate, because truly, no matter what field we're in, we're still learning. I've been a cop for 37 years. I'm still learning that business in so many ways. So I totally agree with you in that philosophy, 100%. I want to change gears just a little bit and get your opinion, since we're talking about ghosts, where they come from. I want to talk about different dimensions, which is a new burgeoning theory in the field, that spirits are really coming from different dimensions, and reincarnation. Let's take dimensions first. Do you have any thoughts on that, opinions on that?
I actually like the theory that's been bouncing around that they're not actually spirits per se, but they're actually like there's a veil there, and it's becoming thinner. And we can actually, that's how come we hear the voices or see things. And like, so I've heard this theory. They said they're on the other side and they think we're the ghost. And I'm
yeah.
I've never thought of it that way, but it's cool. It's a little different than what been over the years, but I'm like, that's kind of cool. I never thought of it that way. And like I said, that's another theory. But I don't know. There's so many, like we said before, there are just so many avenues of the paranormal. You can go in any direction. It's so hard to pinpoint one that I agree on, because the other ones there's still so many different questions.
Oh, absolutely.
With no answers.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on reincarnation? There's been a lot of, and I've spoken about this a couple times on some of the other shows. A lot of folks are basically saying our spirits were recycled, for lack of a better word.
I honestly,
have you had any experience with that?
I think my opinion is I feel that we've lived other lives, because I've had dreams where it felt like I was somewhere else living. It wasn't like a dream. Everything felt so real. And so sometimes, don't you ever feel like you were someone else or something? Not that you want to be, but you just get that feeling like you're somewhere, and something, like sometimes when you get a smell or something from your past and it triggers all these memories, sometimes it does that, and you're like, it just gives you that feeling that you lived a different life, a different past and that. So yeah, I definitely believe that you were reincarnated.
How much of this do you think is it possible that isn't really paranormal at all, but things that our own brain has concocted? How much do you think that's possible?
Be truthfully honest, I think when I do a lot of residential, honestly, 90% of them I think are just natural occurrences happening there, but they're so entrenched in these movies and TV shows, they don't realize a lot of it's just entertainment, and they start believing everything. And I haven't done the residentials in a while, but when I was doing a lot of them, I'd have to say at least 90% of them were nothing, but it wasn't a waste of my time. I tell investigators that, because I heard through the field, oh, this is a waste of us coming out here. There's nothing paranormal. But the thing is, you talk to the family that was maybe thinking of moving out of their house because they were petrified, because the night before that they were watching, The Conjuring, or, some paranormal activity or something.
Right.
And I said, it's not all about getting the evidence. It's when you're doing residential, it's helping the family, because you gave them, and maybe
bringing them back to reality.
Yes, yeah. You gave them a logical. Say they said 3 different things were going at their house that were really scaring them, and you were able to give them a logical answer. Hey, when the air conditioning turns on, that's why that door, if it's a little bit not all the way shut, it'll suck closed, and you'll hear it go dunk, like someone slammed the door, different things like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're bringing them back to reality, because that's the biggest thing when I did residentials. Like, oh, do you watch the TV shows? And then it's like, yes, but they're just entertainment.
That's just all they are. And with that, we are getting ready to go to our next break. So, folks, stay with me and Bob Cenkner. We'll be back on Paranormal Stakeout in just a couple of minutes.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Hey folks, we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Bob Cenkner. Bob, great conversation. Got a chance to get your views on on what spirits are, what the paranormal spirits we seek are. Tell us, my friend, tell me about your best investigation. Your scariest. We'll make it even a little more specific. Tell me your scariest investigation.
Well, I'll say my scariest and weirdest. It
Fair
was
enough.
up in Pensacola. We were doing a convention up there, and people paid to come out and investigate, like they do in like the event we did in Fellsmere. They come out and investigate. Well, we were in this house called the Gray House, and my friend I talked about earlier, Scotty Rourke, he was my partner running this group of people, and he's doing his mediumship stuff, saying he's getting he can hear two people fighting. He says really weird when he hears a spirit, it's usually just one at a time, but it was a couple, and he said they're like screaming at each other. Well, as he's talking, this young guy next to me taps me on the shoulder, so I look at him like, is everything okay? And he's like, whispers to me, you have to get me out of here. I'm like, what? And all of a sudden he passes out into me, like I caught him. So I lay him down on the floor on his back. His arms are straight up, like when you see a football player get a concussion.
Right.
He looks like a statue, and his mouth is wide open like he's screaming, and he's not moving. And I lay him on the ground, and I yelled at Scotty. I'm like, Scotty, I got a guy down here. Scotty's like, what? So he starts coming over towards me. So I look behind me, and there's a doorway. So I put my hand under the guy's armpits to get him away from the crowd of people and dragged him in the room behind me to get some, because everyone started crowding. And, of course, you know, someone asked the question, is there anybody in the house that can help, like a doctor? And there was a lady that was a paramedic. So she goes into the back room with us, and she's trying to get a pulse on this guy. His arms are straight up in the air, not moving, and his mouth's wide open. It just looked like a statue, like he was scared. And as she's trying to do his pulse, she can't get I can't get a pulse, and people are getting 911. And all of a sudden, he pops, sits straight up, takes a deep breath, like, and he's like, and we're like, holy crap. We're like, are you okay? And he's like, what happened? I go, you told me you had to get out of here, and then you passed out. I go, what do you remember? Right when I said I had to get out, I saw a black mass coming across the room at me, and then it went dark. And my friend Scotty starts questioning him. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, have you ever been in this house before? And the kid's like, why? He goes, because I'm getting a message that you're here for a reason. Turned out when he was like, the kid was about 25 now. But when he was a little kid, like around 3 to 5 years old, he lived in that house with his uncle and aunt. So I don't know what happened to him, but it
that
just
same house.
Yes.
Oh,
and
wow.
The uncle and aunt have long passed, and the house was it was a historical type house, so it was just the Historic Society took it over. Mm-hmm. And it was just weird. It wasn't so much, it just scared me more, not paranormal, because I thought something was happening to the guy. Sure. But my friend Scotty's theory was the couple that was fighting the spirits, he said he saw one of them go across the room towards us. He thinks the spirit was, because they were yelling, hit into him as they were screaming. That's why he looked like that with his arms out, like he's like, yeah, yelling. Mm-hmm. So, okay. I mean, it's just a theory, but it kind of, so that was kind of my weirdest kind of event happening. My scariest that I almost hurt myself was at my own house. I was laying in my bed, just about falling asleep. And you know when you close your eyes and you're like not totally in a sleep yet, but you can see the light through your eyelids?
Sure.
Well, we had a night light. Well, all of a sudden it got dark. And I opened my eyes, and there was a shadow, about a 6-foot type guy, standing over me on my side of the bed. I didn't think it was paranormal. I thought someone got in my house. So my instinct was I punched straight up thinking I'm going to knock the guy back and jump up out of bed. And instead, when I punched straight up, I went right through it, out of the bed, almost popped my shoulder out, fell, scared the crap out of my wife at the time. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I swear to God, I thought someone broke in our house. That scared me because it was in my house where my kids are. That's like about 3 weeks later, we had our friends come in and do a cleansing because we had some negative not negative like evil spirit, but just negative stuff. They were not using personal space. They didn't understand it.
Okay.
So those are kind of my kind of spooky, scary. I've had other stuff go on, like some cool EVPs with spirits messing with us, answering. One is at the Green Cove Springs Jail, just a little bit below Jacksonville and to the west. Yep. And Scotty Burns was actually there. And I don't know if you've been to that jail. Have you been to that one yet?
No, have not been to that one yet.
Ooh. If you can get in there when they have openings, I felt it was very active, the jail part. But one part of the night, an investigator and I were on the jail has a thin walkway. And we're at one end of the hall and we hear a rattling noise on the window. So we walk to the other end to check the window. Well, where we just walked from, that window starts rattling. So we went back a couple times, back and forth. Like I'm telling you the story right now, I was telling Scotty Burns the story. And I go, I think someone was messing with us. And I got an EVP, there was no one else in the jail but me and her, of a male, real deep voice going, so? When I said, I think someone's messing with us. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I've had some similar EVPs like that before, but I want to go back to some of the physical things you were just talking about. How often do you find in your investigations that these physical events, even the dreams, like the one you described you had, are they real, or are they something that our subconscious is creating? And not doubting you one bit, but how do we prove that it's real and not just something that our mind is cooking up? Do you have a thought on that one at all?
That's the hard question everybody asks. How can you prove it to people? Like what I'm telling you, the two stories, to me, all it is a story I'm telling you of my personal experience. Mm-hmm. I don't expect people to, I'm going to put this in evidence because I have nothing to back it except that it's a personal experience. I'll listen to everybody's personal experience and take it with a grain of salt, just like you take my personal experience.
Well, actually, I know you, so I do put some stock in what you say. So
that's a different thing. If you know people in that and you've investigated with them and you know they're level-minded people, like I know you're level-minded when we're out. It's not like if something happened, you're like, oh my, it's a spirit, it's haunted. You take a logical approach to it. Well, let's figure this out rationally first before people jump to conclusions. And you can tell talking to someone, kind of like something we were talking about off the air, you can tell by the way someone presents themselves towards you if it could be legit or not. And that's how I look at things. And I tell people, even if they do have some evidence, you can't just have one piece. You should have a couple pieces of evidence to back up. Like, I'm not a big K2 person because to me all it is just lights, like on Christmas morning, and I feel the only reason I feel you might be getting responses. I won't knock that. I think people do get responses from spirits or setting them off sometimes. But in my experience, a lot of things set those off naturally.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
And I honestly think they were used for the TV show. I won't name it, but the first TV show was more because you're watching a TV show. You need a visual. What better visual? You're sitting there watching TV. Oh my! It went to the red light. That means it's really strong, you know. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think it was more just for a visual effect on TV, and it became this big phenomenon. Everybody had to have them.
Yeah, just like so many other things in our society. Well, tell me then, what kind of equipment do you like to use? What is your favorite piece? What do you think is the most accurate tool you can use during a paranormal investigation?
Honestly, I am not a very tech-savvy guy. I can use the equipment I have, but when people start talking about stuff, I'm the guy who likes to do trial and error. I like to see it in the field. People can talk till they're blue in the face about equipment, but I like to see it in the field, someone using it before I buy it. And I'm pretty basic. I use a recorder. I have an EMF meter, and I use I use a lot of video camera with full spectrum, and I love the full spectrum.
You're talking light now, so the folks in the audience understand. You're talking full spectrum light, correct?
Yes, sorry. And I think I'm saying it right. Yeah. See, I'm not very tech savvy. I bought it from Ghost Stop a few years back, and I love it because it's very clear. You can see a lot better in the pink hue and the blue than the old night vision. Because I don't know if you ever used the video camera with just night vision with a IR light. Sometimes it looked very grainy and kind of almost looked like it's like a water like waving. Right. But go ahead.
What has given you? What piece of equipment has given you the best physical evidence? And
honestly,
yeah,
people, it's not flashy or real fancy. My recorder is the best EVPs I get, because my other equipment, yeah, you get the readings, but how do you really know what's setting that off without other equipment to back it up? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, when you use your recorder, how do you normally use it? Do you do long sessions, short sessions? How do you use your recorder?
I usually, I've changed my technique because I've learned certain things over the years that work a little better, and I've been wearing a headset with my recorder now because then you can hear it in real time as you're walking around. Mm-hmm. And this is one thing I'm starting to question some of my older evidence. Those little recorders that you get from Walmart are way more sensitive than you think, because my son and I were down West Palm Beach with Scotty Burns at their hotel.
Yep.
It's out of my head here what the name of the place is.
The Gulfstream Hotel.
Thank you. Well, my son and I were down the hallway, and he had the headset on. And there was a group of 3 other investigators all the way down the other end in a room. Now, I barely heard a faint voice, and I'm like, I think it's the investigators. I called it out. And my son's like, oh, yeah, it's them. I can hear them clear. I can hear what they're saying. I'm like, what? From this distance? And he's like, yeah. So that starts questioning when you have quite a few people on different floors of locations. Are you really getting uncontaminated evidence?
Well, and to be honest with you, Bob, that's an entire show in and of itself, talking about investigative techniques. And when we come back after this next break, I'm going to ask you a little bit about training, because and your thoughts on where that might help us lead into a brighter future in the world of paranormal research and investigations. So when we come back after this break, we're on our last leg, folks, but I want you to come back and hear Bob Cenkner as we wrap the show for tonight. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes after this commercial break.
Are you curious? Do you want to learn more about how the world works and have fun at the same time? Study coincidences with me, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on my Connecting with Coincidence radio show, here on the XZBN network. Listen to Jungians theorize, statisticians randomize, true believers evangelize, while I categorize. I dance to the rhythm of coincidences. People who experience me see more of them. Maybe something on the show matches a thought in your mind. Let us know. Expand your mind to the weirdness happening around you. Synchronicity spoken here, there, and everywhere. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence in your search engine and find my website, my social media sites, and my blog.
This This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
And welcome back, folks, to this final segment tonight of Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, Bob Cenkner. It's been a great show, Bob. Glad you're here. I do want to remind everybody to check out the programming schedule at www.xzbn.net, where you will have an opportunity to see all the terrific shows on the network and get a chance to experience them yourself. I want to thank Bob Cenkner for being with us tonight. His program, Paranormal Wavelengths, his team down here in South Florida, not too far from me at the Southern Command Post. I want to mention his website, http://homebase1.wixsite.com/paranormal wavelength. So check out his website. And, Bob, it's been an interesting night. You and I have shared a lot of discussions about paranormal research and investigation over the last couple of years. Like to get your thought on where you think we need to go, and this is just your opinion, on the collection, preservation, and presentation of evidence we gather. It's kind of a long question there, but it's a big bugaboo of mine. It's that that evidence that we need to prove our hypothesis here. What's your thought?
In January at the Para-Unity event, I liked what Brian Cano and Sean Porter and them were talking about, a database of people plugging it in there and people giving their opinions from all over, like not just all over the United States, all over the world, sharing their evidence. That's the biggest thing I try and I'm not trying to say we should be holding hands and singing Kumbaya and being all brotherly, but if we don't share someone like something simple, we're on the East Coast. Someone on the West Coast may have debunked something, equipment, something going on with a piece of equipment. But if we never talk or have a database to share stuff and opinions, and the biggest thing that lacks in the paranormal field sometimes is common courtesy and respect towards others, which that should have been something you were taught at a young age.
Yes.
But people just lose their minds sometimes. And I've had people show me evidence with orbs, and I'm not an orb fan. I believe there's an orb you can see naturally with your eye, but some of the evidence people show you, you can clearly see it's a dust ball or it's a bug.
Okay.
But you have to approach the people respectfully and just give them your opinion. If they don't take it, that's their fault, or not their fault, but it's their choice. You can't push it on them. But I really think we do need a database for everybody to share their stuff together, because there's probably so much stuff we're missing between each other.
And I agree. And let's say if we do kind of buy into the theory that perhaps spirits are able to travel and maybe manifest in different areas, wouldn't it be great if somebody in California was able to collect a piece of evidence that is real similar to what somebody found in New York to maybe even help prove that theory? And a database is how we can do it. We do that in law enforcement. We share information across the country and across the world on things, everything from burglary to serial killers. There's no reason we can't do it in this field and allow people access to see this evidence and maybe answer some of these questions a little bit sooner. So
it'd be very nice. The difference between the police force sharing their evidence, they don't have people get the mindset, not everyone, I'm just saying some people get the mindset in the paranormal field that their evidence is what's going to make them get their TV show, so they're not going to share it with someone else because they'll steal it. And honestly, I've seen people come and go through the paranormal field. You can tell if someone's actually passionate about the paranormal field, about learning and actually helping people and doing stuff, than the people that come in, and you can tell if they're just trying to make a name for themselves so they can be the next thing on TV. The egos are the biggest thing.
Boy, that's the one word I was actually going to bring up with you tonight. Egos can destroy more things. You know, we weren't so much different in law enforcement a few years ago. Guys in my business and gals in my business would keep evidence because they didn't want to share it, and all it ended up doing was hurting what we were meant to do, and that's protect others. Now, we've gotten a lot better with it, and I'm sure folks in the paranormal field will too, but until we start realizing sharing evidence, critiquing it in a proper way, we're not going to get to where we need to be. And that's just my opinion on that subject. And that's one reason why I'm glad you were at the Para-Unity conference in January. That's the one thing that we're trying to work on. One of the things that's always bothered me is somebody brings in a piece of evidence, and because they don't like it, they destroy it instead of looking at it objectively and maybe offering some suggestions to the person presenting it. Instead, they basically just eviscerate them. But that's my soapbox for tonight, Bob.
And with you saying that, that's the one thing I tried telling people when I used to do my Paranormal Wavelength show. I used to tell people, listen, if someone comes to you with a piece of evidence and you know it's not real evidence, it's something natural, if you respectfully talk to them, they'll come back to you or ask other people's opinions. But you bash them and cut them down, well, guess what? Now they're not going to ask anybody's opinion because they don't want to be embarrassed. So they keep doing the same thing wrong over and over. And I said it's a domino effect. They go to a location and they do an investigation and get the people PO'd at that location because they did something that we all know you shouldn't be. Well, guess what? Now none of us are going to get in that location. Now these people don't want anybody, us type of people in there anymore.
Yeah,
so,
and civility. I think if we had a little bit of civility mixed in with the skepticism we need to on evidence, I think we'd go a whole lot further. I couldn't agree with you more.
It's just a common courtesy. Just treat the person, treat them like a human. You know, they talk to you. Why do you got to talk down to them? Because, that's why I've become good friends with Jonathan from your team, because I don't care he's only started. I talk to him like he's on the same level as me. Everybody's on the same level, honestly. Mm-hmm. You know, just me or you or my friend Rich. Like I said, we've been doing it longer, so we've made a lot more mistakes over the years that we've learned from that we can help you not make the same mistakes.
Yeah, and that truly, truly is what it's all about. It's, once again, civility, skepticism, and working together. But I want to bring up another subject here as we begin to wind down our time together, and that's training. You know, most of us got into this field, we had to do it on our own, perhaps do some research. If we were lucky, we had a mentor. Where do you see us needing to go, and by us I mean the paranormal field, to go in the realm of training new investigators and perhaps refreshing seasoned investigators? Do you have a thought on that at all?
Honestly, I'm the type of person, I like to be out in the field in the natural environment where it's hard to replicate the environment you're going to be in because you don't know what location you're going to be investigating. Mm-hmm. I like to trial and error being out there. I always tell people it's okay to make a mistake long as you learn from it. That's the biggest thing. People make mistakes. No one's perfect in this field because no one can be. It's all theories, and we really don't have any answers. We have a lot of theories, and I don't even know how to say it, but you know where I'm going with this. It's just I like to be out in the field and take someone new out in the field, not a residential. I'd rather be a commercial location a few times with someone because residentials are more sensitive, where someone new could actually hurt the people living there by making some comment that they shouldn't have.
Absolutely. But, excuse me, but that's also where I see, obviously coming from the profession I do, field training is a major part of how we prepare young officers to hit the street. But I see that as a necessity in this field too. And while I do agree being in the field is certainly a way to cut your teeth, if you will, on the profession, we need to get folks ready to go out there. And that's understanding the equipment, what the equipment means, what the theory is behind them, how to use it, how to talk to people. My gosh, that's one thing we do miss today.
Yes.
So many people do not know how to talk to others. So I'm really become of the philosophy that we need to start working on training folks before they get out there. And I do agree field training is an important part of it, but I don't think it's the whole thing either.
What you know what else I think too, now that you've brought this up? Just doing an event like Para-Unity. People walked away there just by listening to others speak and talk about different experiences. Like when we did the panel, we had a lot of good feedback there because Rich, Brian, and I all had different opinions, but you noticed if one of us didn't agree, we didn't fight. We respected each other's opinions, and that's the best thing.
Well, now if we could get our politicians to do that, we'd be doing great.
Yeah, they won't be getting shot at anymore doing their baseball. That was crazy.
yeah, that was a sad event, no doubt about that.
Yes, I couldn't believe that, but but I think if we did more conventions or paranormal 101 classes, just like one night, hey, come on out for a 2-hour class. We're going to go over this piece of equipment. Like take 3 pieces of equipment, and then the people have a choice. Well, I want to know something about that.
Keep yourself tuned to that, my friend. That's coming. We're working on that right now, and you're going to see more of that down here at the Southern Command Post and with the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation. So Bob, unfortunately, my dear friend, we are out of time. This hour went really, really quick, but I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Some really frank discussion. I know the audience enjoyed it. Check with us again next week, folks, when we have another terrific show. Also, visit my websites at www.paranormalfbi.com and www.paranormalstakeout.com. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side.